Metaverse, and in today's lecture, we'll discuss the whole arterial network of the upper limb. That is, we'll trace the arteries starting from the arch of aorta, will move down to up to the hands. Okay, so we're gonna discuss the whole arterial system, the all the anastomosis, as well as how the arteries are distributed, what is their course, and how the branches are given, which branch is of which artery, that all things will read in a retrograde fashion. So once you complete this lecture, you need not worry about any artery that will be asked in your exam. So basically, it is an integrated approach. What we do is we read reason wise. That is, we read hand, then discuss the arteries of the hand like that. But it's not that way. This lecture is a bit different. That is, we'll discuss the arteries. We'll trace the arteries starting from the heart to our hands and how the branches are given at different places and what anastomoses are formed in that region of our body. Okay. So without wasting much time, let's start. Let me first start with your. Let's start with the arch of aorta. Okay. This is the arch of aorta. Understood? I hope the screen is visible. Yeah. Arch of aorta. Arch of aorta, I'm taking one, arch of aorta has three branch, your left subclavian artery, your left common carotid artery, your right brachiocephalic artery. So three arteries, but here I only need one artery. Okay, one branch. That is a right brachiocephalic artery. You can take any one of them. Like if you want to see, I'll be drawing the right side of the body. Okay, if you want to do the same with the left, then take the left subclavian artery. I am taking the right brachiocephalic artery. Okay, so here let me make the branch. This is your right brachiocephalic artery. So here we have our arch of aorta, right brachiocephalic artery. This right brachiocephalic artery divides into right common carotid and right subclavian artery. This divides into two branches. This is your right common carotid artery, and this is your right subclavian artery. A right common carotid, right subclavian. Okay. A right common carotid artery. This common carotid artery is basically dividing again into internal carotid, external carotid, and external carotid mainly supplies the neck regions and the face and all. And internal carotid artery moves up to the brain by the carotid canal and all, and supplies the brain, all the cerebellum part. That is a part of head and neck and neuroanatomy. But here we want the right subclavian artery. So the topic of discussion basically is the right subclavian artery. Understood? Right subclavian artery, it has three parts. Subclavian artery, remember, it has three parts and divided by scalenus anterior muscle. So here is the right subclavian artery. This is the right subclavian artery, let's assume. So it has three parts, part 1, 2, and 3. And these parts are divided by a muscle which is called as a scalenus anterior muscle. Let me draw the muscle even. This part 2 is deep to the scalenus anterior. This is the muscle. Let me shade it. Yeah. This is your scalenus anterior muscle. Scalenus anterior muscle. If up to this part is clear to you, let me start the arteries. Okay. So right subclavian artery, remember, right subclavian artery will give from its first part, it will give one branch, it will give a trunk, not a artery, but a trunk that is called the thyrocervical trunk, TCT. Okay. So what I am doing is I'll be taking up this part again in my next diagram. Okay. I'll be taking up this part again in the next diagram so as to show you the branches. Just focus on my next diagram. Yeah. So again, this is your, which artery is this? This part, this whole part. I'm taking the next diagram, right subclavian artery, first part, second part, and third part again. Okay. So I told that the first part will give one branch that is called as the thyrocervical trunk, TCT, thyrocervical trunk. This thyrocervical trunk will give three more branches. This thyrocervical trunk will give three more branches. One is called as I'm writing the whole name because you can get confused with internal thoracic. Don't confuse this with internal thoracic. This is inferior thyroid artery. We don't need to discuss inferior thyroid artery now because it supplies the thyroid gland from below. Okay, inferior thyroid artery. No need to discuss it here because we are discussing upper limb. Another one is called the transverse cervical artery. TCA, I'm writing TCA, that is the transverse cervical artery. This artery is important. Why it is important, I'm telling you in a bit. And the third artery is called as the suprascapular artery. It's called as the suprascapular artery. This also is important. Suprascapular artery. So you know now that the first part will give one branch. The first part of the right subclavian, this is the right subclavian, will give three branches. TCT will give three branches, that is inferior thyroid, transverse cervical, and suprascapular artery. Okay. If you understood this TCA and suprascapular artery, how it is important, let me tell you. Here, look at this. Let me draw like this. Yeah. Which bone is this? Do tell me. Of course, you must have guessed from the shape itself. Yeah, scapula. So we have something called as a scapular anastomosis. So in scapular anastomosis, we have a branch of transverse cervical artery. Here in the scapular anastomosis, I'm doing this in dotted. We have a branch of TCA, that is a transverse cervical artery, which goes down to the inferior angle of scapula, and it gives three branches here like this, forming the scapular anastomosis. Okay, and this branch is called as a deep branch of transverse cervical artery, and this deep branch of transverse cervical artery is sometimes known as a dorsal scapular artery. Understood? Again, what about the suprascapular artery? Yeah, so I'm just erasing for a time. This suprascapular artery comes here like this. Okay, this is the suprascapular artery which comes to front of the scapula. Understood? So these arteries are contributing to the scapular anastomosis. Understood? Scapular anastomosis. Okay. From the second part, there is another branch which is not much important. This is called the costocervical trunk. I'm writing CCT. Costocervical trunk, not much important in our discussion. And the important one, we don't need to discuss about the third part, because third part is somewhat you can just say like that. The third part continues to form an axillary artery. Okay, of course the subclavian artery, it third part also has branches, but I am not going to that. Okay, and it is not of our discussion, so let's say it continues. Okay, let me tell you that it continues. So this one, the right subclavian artery, it continues in the axilla portion of our body as the axillary artery. So what about this? I told that right subclavian, TCT, inferior thyroid, TCA, suprascapular. Suprascapular comes in front of scapula. Deep branch of TCA is moving downwards and giving a branches contributing to scapular anastomosis. We'll see the scapular anastomosis in a bit later, because we are still in the that shoulder region, not moving not up to the scapular region, and or you can say. And axillary artery, I told that it will the subclavian artery basically is continuing as the axillary artery. Understood? Okay. So axillary artery, again, it has three parts. You know about this first part, second part, third part. The second part is deep to which muscle? Yes, pectoralis minor. So let's say if this is the coracoid process, This must be a pectoralis minor muscle. I'm drawing it like pectoralis minor. Okay. So first part has one branch, second part has two branches, third part has three branches. So what I'll be doing the next is that I'll be taking up the axillary artery now in discussion. So I'll be taking this whole part and will be showing the branches in the next part. Understood? This is the next part. Because I can't draw a very big diagram of this whole region, that's why I'm taking up in sections. But I hope you are following it in continuation. So can you just trace axillary artery from the arch of aorta? Yes. Let me give you an example how to trace. So arch of aorta, we took the right subclavian. Right subclavian is three parts. It continues at the axillary artery. Traced. Okay. Can you trace the deep branch of transverse cervical artery from arch of aorta? Yes. Yeah. Arch of aorta, right subclavian, first part, second part, third part. Second part, the first part will give thyrocervical trunk. Thyrocervical trunk will give transverse cervical artery. This transverse cervical artery will give a branch which is called as a dorsal scapular artery or the deep branch of transverse cervical artery. You can trace? Yes. Yeah. That's our goal. We have to trace the arteries of which artery of is the branch and all. You don't need to mug up the things. Okay. Okay, so let's discuss the axillary artery now. So starting with the axillary artery, if I just draw, I'm drawing it like this. The first part, second part, third. And the muscle, of course, is here. I'm shading it with yeah, not much important. Muscle is not much important. Okay, first part. First part, what branch it will give? First part will give it like you need to understand this first part. Okay, so tell me if here is our arm region, which organ is it next to? Yeah, your breast region. Okay. So basically, the first part is giving a branch to the breast. Okay. If I draw the breast here in the schematic section, let's say this. Okay. I draw it like this. This is the nipple and areola. Okay. So first part will give the innervation to the breast that is called as a superior thoracic artery. Superior thoracic artery. Understood? Then we have from the second part two arteries. One is your trunk. I'm doing it a bit like thicker because it's a trunk, not a. And this trunk has four branches. I will name the four branches in a bit and name the trunk as well. This is called the thoracoacromion trunk. I'm writing TAC. Thoracoacromion trunk. And another artery is called the lateral thoracic artery, which is given like this. Again to the breast. Lateral thoracic artery. So understood from the first part, superior thoracic. From the second part, lateral thoracic artery. Understood? From the thoracoacromion trunk, we have APCD branches. A is for acromion branch, which will supply the acromion process. B is the clavicle. Sorry, yeah, APCD, yeah, not ABCD. APCD. P. P is the pectoral branch of thoracoacromion trunk. This pectoral branch of thoracoacromion trunk, it is getting. Let me change the color. Okay, it will be easy, but don't confuse it to be a vein. It is only an artery only. Let me draw it in green. This pectoral branch of thoracoacromion trunk, it will again come and supply the breast. Pectoral branch of thoracoacromion trunk again supplies the breast. Understood? The three arteries you understood. And C is the clavicular branch, supplies the clavicle. D is the deltoid branch, supplies the deltoid muscle. Okay, understood? Okay. And just another thing that this thoracoacromion trunk, it pierces the clavipectoral fascia. Clavipectoral. It pierces and goes via the clavipectoral fascia. Understood? And another artery, yeah, we discussed about the lateral thoracic artery, so it's done. Third part. So here we finish the second part. Okay, here we finish the second part. If you want to know from the first part of the right subclavian, there is another artery which will be supplying the breast. I'm moving up, and yeah. So I told you, I'm changing the color. Yeah, from the right subclavian artery, from the first part, your TCT was arising. From the same first part of your right subclavian artery, another artery goes and supplies the breast. That is called as the internal thoracic artery. So internal thoracic artery, this is internal thoracic artery. This internal thoracic artery also is supplying the breast. Okay. So internal thoracic artery is moving down. It's moving down, down, down like this along the sternum and gives some branches. These are called as the perforating branches. Perforating branches of internal thoracic artery. So this internal thoracic artery is also supplying, giving some branches, some perforating branches to the breast. And to the breast also another branches are coming, that is called as your uh, intercostal branches, basically. Intercostal branches. Understood? So we completed here the innervation of breast. It's done. Yeah. Innervation like the arterial supply concept. So after finishing the breast, so which artery is supplying the breast? Superior thoracic artery, which is a branch of first part. First part of which artery? First part of your axillary artery. So superior thoracic artery. Then pectoral branch of your transverse thoraco-abdominal trunk, okay, TAT, and your lateral thoracic artery, which is again from the second part of the thoracoabdominal trunk, and the third part. Third part is not basically. We'll see the third part in now. So basically, we are done with the pectoral region and the shoulder region. Okay, we're done the pectoral region as well as the shoulder region. Uh, yeah, one more thing, that humerus and that part, your scapular anastomosis, I'll go into the next. Then we'll discuss the elbow anastomosis. We'll go down and discuss the arterial supply of hand, and we are done. Yes. So we have to discuss now what are the fate of the third part. So here we have the third part in discussion. So we're finished with the second part and the first part of your axillary artery. This is axillary artery, of course. Okay. Third part. If we're coming to third part has three branches. One is called as the anterior circumflex humeral artery, posterior circumflex humeral artery, and subscapular artery. ACUHA, PCHA, and subscapular artery. So I'll be drawing the this portion again in this part. Let me draw the whole humerus and the scapular region. Let me draw it like this. Just imagine. I'm just imagining and drawing the parts. Okay. And this you can say. And you have in the back side, you have the coracoid process as well. This must be the coracoid process. Okay. So this is the coracoid process which I am drawing. And here we'll have the head of the humerus as well. Okay. This is the humerus. And this is whole area is the scapula and the humerus. So what is happening, I'll show you. Yeah. Let me take the third part of this axillary artery which we have. This is the axillary artery third part. Axillary artery third part. So what is happening basically, that the axillary artery will be giving the ACHA first. ACHA is the anterior circumflex humeral artery. Of course, this is the anterior side, and back side, the dotted one is the posterior side. So ACHA will be wound around like this. This is the ACHA, anterior circumflex humeral artery. I'll be drawing the posterior circumflex humeral artery in another color. Don't get confused with the veins because we are not discussing the veins now. There is the posterior circumflex humeral artery like this being wound. This is the PCHA. Understood? ACH and PCH you understood? And again, there is another artery which is called as a subscapular artery. This subscapular artery will move to the inferior angle again. I'm drawing subscapular artery in another color yet. This is the subscapular artery. It will be going up like this. This is the subscapular artery reaching the inferior angle. This is the inferior angle. It will be reaching the inferior angle of for that part, the scapula. Yeah. Then you know this part. You know this part. Do you know? From the first part of right subclavian, be very careful. From the first part of right subclavian, your TCT was being given. This TCT was giving suprascapular artery as well as the transverse cervical artery, which will be giving the dorsal scapular artery. Yes. Do you understand this part? So we need this part now. So I'll be drawing up like this. Well, I'm just drawing the first part of your artery subclavian. The first part of subclavian was giving the TCT. TCT, I'm drawing the TCT, not A, TCT. This TCT was giving the TCA, transverse cervical artery. This transverse cervical artery was giving the deep branch of TCA, that is a dorsal scapular artery. Can you relate? Yes, very good. This is the dorsal branch of, dorsal scapular. This both arteries will be anastomosing at the inferior angle. This is the inferior angle anastomosis. In the scapular anastomosis, 4 points of anastomosis are there. This is the inferior angle anastomosis. Then this dorsal scapular artery will be giving 3 branches. Yes. So one branch like this, second branch, third branch, 3 branches. This subscapular artery, again I'm drawing it in purple only because it is a branch of this artery only. This subscapular artery will be giving another branch which is called the circumflex scapular artery. This is your circumflex scapular artery. Yes, like this is a circumflex scapular artery, CSA. And here these both arteries will be anastomosed. Understood? Another one, I told from the first part of subclavian another artery arises, suprascapular artery, which was coming to the front. So here we have the suprascapular artery like this. Yes, this is the suprascapular artery, and this will be anastomosing like this. 3 points of anastomosis is got. Another branch. What happens is that if you want to know, this posterior circumflex humeral artery, this PCHA, not this HA, this PCHA, this posterior circumflex humeral artery gives an acromion branch, and this suprascapular artery also gives an acromion branch to the acromion process. There an anastomosis occurs. This is the let me write this. This one is the acromion branch of SSA, that is a suprascapular artery, and of PCH only. I am drawing it with blue so that you can understand. This is the acromion branch of PCHA. This both will be anastomosing like this. So point number 1 anastomosis number 2, 3, and your 4. So we have 4 points of anastomosis in the scapula. Did you understand? Yes. Okay. If you understood this, let's move on ahead. Like, let us take this artery again. So axillary artery from the third part, this all well given. Axillary artery will continue downwards. Of course, it will continue downwards because branches were given from the third part. That doesn't mean that it will end up here. It will move below. Yes. Now we have completed the pectoral region completely, and now we are into elbow. So what is the fate of this artery in the elbow region? So basically, this axillary artery, when it moves to the arm, okay, it will be called as a brachial artery now. So I will be calling it brachial artery. Okay, I will be calling it the brachial artery. And this brachial artery will again divide into your ulnar artery and radial artery. We'll see. So this brachial artery, I will be calling it now brachial artery. This brachial artery will give its largest branch of brachial artery, that is called as the profunda brachii artery. Then it will give two more branches, that is a superior ulnar collateral artery and inferior ulnar collateral artery. So you can understand that we have three major branches of this brachial artery. Okay, it will move downwards. It will move downwards like this. Just, yeah. Let me draw the elbow. Okay, let me draw the not the elbow, your lower end of humerus. Okay, like you can draw it like this. Yeah, this is the lower end of humerus. This is the lateral epicondyle. This is the medial epicondyle. So basically now we are into the elbow anastomosis part. I will be not drawing the radius and ulna because it will complicate the matter. For the sake, here in the side we have ulna and here we will have the radius because this is the lateral side. This is the medial side of the diagram. Because lateral epicondyle, medial epicondyle, you can understand. Okay. Okay. So this brachial artery will give another branch. This brachial artery will give another branch which will turn and come. It's a deep branch which is called the profunda brachii artery. It will give the profunda brachii artery. This is the profunda brachii artery. This is the profunda brachii artery. This profunda brachii artery will again divide into two branches: anterior descending branch, posterior descending branch. So anterior descending branch will come front. This is the anterior descending branch. I am writing ADB. And which will be going back is the posterior descending branch, PDB. Of which artery? Profunda brachii artery. Thus both branches are important. I will tell you how. And of course, this main brachial artery will again move downwards. This will move downwards and be below. We will see the rest course later. Okay. Yeah. So brachial artery I told profunda brachii, anterior descending branch, posterior descending branch. Understood? This again, this brachial artery will give two more branches. One is called as superior ulnar collateral artery and inferior ulnar collateral artery. This inferior ulnar collateral artery will come like this. This is the inferior ulnar collateral artery, and which starts from up is the superior ulnar collateral artery. Of course, will come like this. Will come from up, but it goes behind. It goes behind the humerus. Okay, this is the superior ulnar collateral artery. This both arteries came. Okay, yeah. So now we need this. This is the brachial artery. Just this is the brachial artery which was going. It was giving up these branches, of course, but this is the main brachial artery now. So this main brachial artery, when it reaches a point which is called the cubital fossa, at the level of cubital fossa, this must be the cubital fossa. This is the cubital fossa. You know this elbow region and this part. So in the region of the cubital fossa, it divides into radial artery and ulnar artery. This is the radial artery and this is the ulnar artery. We will need this in the elbow anastomosis. Okay. So from the radial artery, there will be a radial recurrent artery which will be moving upwards. So let's draw it in blue. This is the radial recurrent artery which will be anastomosing with the anterior descending branch of a profunda brachii artery. Understood? Okay. So here we have the point of anastomosis. Okay. Okay. And from the ulnar artery, there will be an artery arising which is called as the common interosseous artery. Here, from the ulnar artery, remember, there will be artery arising which is called the common interosseous artery. I am writing CIA. This common interosseous artery divides into anterior interosseous artery and posteriorly divides into posterior interosseous artery. Anterior and posterior interosseous arteries. This posterior interosseous artery will again give a branch which is called as a recurrent interosseous artery. It will move up. This is called as your recurrent interosseous artery which will go up, up, up. Yeah. This is called as your recurrent interosseous artery, recurrent interosseous artery, which will anastomose with the posterior descending branch of your profunda brachii artery. Understood what is happening? Bit complicated it is, but you have to practice this diagram as many times you can so that you can draw it in reflex. Yeah. Then again from the ulnar artery, two more branches, anterior ulnar recurrent and posterior ulnar recurrent artery. Here we have anterior ulnar recurrent artery. Okay, this is the anterior ulnar recurrent, which will be anastomosing with the inferior ulnar collateral. So here we have anterior ulnar recurrent artery, aura. And here we have the posterior ulnar recurrent artery, pleura. Okay. So posterior ulnar recurrent artery anastomoses with the superior ulnar collateral, and this anterior ulnar recurrent artery fuses with the inferior ulnar collateral artery. So here we got 4 points of anastomosis: 1, 2, 3, and 4. Here we got 4 points of anastomosis between the arteries. Yes, here in the medial epicondyle area and the lateral epicondyle area, 2 points of anastomosis. 2 points here, 2 points here, 4 points. Yes. Okay. So after completing this complicated stuff, I believe, yeah. So basically now we saw what is the arterial network of the elbow. Okay, and now we have to do the hand part. Okay, the palm. So we'll see how the palmar arches are formed. Okay, just focus on the this area. If you don't know this RA, this radial artery, it is also seen in the roof of the anatomical snuff box. You know about the anatomical snuff box, I believe. If you don't know, I'll tell you that one tendon is there, that is the EPL tendon. EPL tendon is extensor pollicis longus tendon, and another one is the APL and abductor pollicis longus and extensor pollicis brevis tendon. These tendons form a space which is called as your this part is called as your anatomical snuff box. Here, this is the anatomical snuff box. If you can see here in my hand, if you can see, can show you like that maybe. Yeah, this part is called the anatomical snuff box. I can feel the tendons also, but yeah, this part, this one. Okay. So radial artery is seen in its roof of the anatomical snuff box. So now what arteries we have? We have now radial artery and the ulnar artery, and we will see the fate of the radial artery and ulnar artery in our hand region. So let's discuss the hand. So we'll be drawing this like this. Don't mind my diagram. Of course, it is good, but here I am not drawing the good hand. No problem in that. Can manage this. Okay. Let's draw the flexor retinaculum as well. You know about the flexor retinaculum here? This is the flexor retinaculum. Okay. So this radial artery will go down the flexor retinaculum. So radial artery was coming like this, RA, and your ulnar artery was coming like this, UA. This radial artery will go below the flexor retinaculum. Will go below the flexor retinaculum. Okay, and it will give two branches. If it goes below the flexor retinaculum and gives two branches. One branch is the deep branch of radial artery. Okay, one branch you will see here like this. This is the deep branch of radial artery, and another branch which is superficial to the flexor retinaculum. This comes like this and forms the superficial branch of radial artery. Two branches. One is the deep branch and one is the superficial branch. And this ulnar artery also. Let me draw the ulnar artery in another color, blue. Okay, let's take it blue. So ulnar artery basically passes deep to the superficial slip of flexor retinaculum. Flexor retinaculum is two slips, two tunnels forming two tunnels. From the superficial slip, ulnar artery passes deeply. Okay, and if it passes deeply to the superficial slip of flexor retinaculum, it will give a deep branch. Okay, here is the superficial slip. It passes deep to the superficial slip and again gives the deep branch of ulnar artery, which will fuse with the deep branch of radial artery, and this is forming the just a minute, and this will be forming the deep palmar arch. This will be forming the deep palmar arch. And this superficial branch itself, this ulnar artery will have superficial branch again. This there will be superficial branch as well. So superficial branch, let me take the same color. This is a superficial branch of ulnar artery. This will come and fuse the superficial branch of radial artery also, and this both will be forming the superficial palmar arch. Superficial palmar arch. So I understood how the palmar arches are formed. But here the arteries don't terminate. Here we have more branches to the fingers. Okay. So first thing first. Okay. First thing. From the deep branch of radial artery, remember, from the deep branch of radial artery, two major branches are there. One is that from the deep branch of radial artery itself, one is the artery which will be going to the thumb. Okay. It is called as a princeps pollicis artery. Princeps pollicis artery. And another artery which will be going to the index finger like this. This is called as a this major artery will be going to the index finger is called as a radialis indicis. Okay, and so princeps pollicis and radialis indicis are the branches of your deep branch of radial artery. The deep branch of radial artery. Okay, did you understand? Okay. Afterwards, the ulnar artery, the superficial branch of ulnar artery, this one, the superficial branch of ulnar artery will give more branches to the fingers. First thing, it will give common branches, common arteries to the fingers, common digital arteries. Okay, we call it common digital arteries. It will give three common digital arteries, one proper digital artery. So, first one, do you need one more diagram because it is getting complicated? Yeah, just focus on this. So here we had the deep branch of ulnar artery. It is giving a common branch here between the web space between index finger and the middle finger here. Okay, it will be giving here and here, and you can say like three branches. You can give it three branches, and another one is a proper branch which will be going like this. So here is the proper digital branch or artery, you can say proper digital artery is going to the little finger. And these are your common digital arteries. I'm writing C, C, and C. So from the deep branch of ulnar artery, we have common, 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 and a one proper digital artery. This common digital artery will again divide into two branches. It will be supplying the fingers like this. These are your proper digital arteries of the respective fingers. So one finger is supplied by two arteries. Okay, and as usual, we have from the which branch? From the deep branch of your radial artery, DBRA, deep branch of the radial artery, we had two branches, that is your princeps pollicis like this. Princeps pollicis, I am writing PP, and your RI, that is your radialis indicis. So this is the whole supply, whole arterial supply of the hand. And here we have the arches. Here of the arches, the supply of the hand, because it got complicated in here. I drew it here. And then we have the elbow anastomosis, the scapular anastomosis, the innervation of wrist, the axilla, the muscles, and starting from the arch of aorta. So here I complete the whole arterial network of the upper limb. We did the whole arterial network of the upper limb. We discussed each and every artery which is there in our upper limb part. all the important arteries which are there. And just mark my words that in humans we find many variations of arteries itself. Some arteries, some branch may be arising from any other one. These are the most common ones, the most common things which we did in our textbook. That is, you have to answer the things. And I took a unique approach of discussing these things. Like if someone asks you, uh, posterior interosseous artery, if someone gives you the name posterior interosseous artery, you have to can you trace it up to the heart? Like it's an artery. Okay, so let me not take like this. Can you trace from the heart how the posterior interosseous artery arises? Can you trace? Let's see. Let's try. I'm giving an example how I taught you that from the arch of aorta, your right subclavian or it may be left subclavian. I'm taking right one. Right subclavian, three parts. It goes down. It goes down. It forms the axillary artery. This axillary artery comes down. As the axillary artery comes down again below. It is coming below as the brachial artery, continuing as brachial artery. Then it is coming down as the brachial artery and dividing into radial artery and ulnar artery. From the ulnar artery, there will be arising of common interosseous artery. This common interosseous artery is being divided into anterior interosseous artery and posterior interosseous artery. Then, so could you trace it straight away from the arch of aorta? Yes. So you can now you know about all the arteries, all the orientation. Just you have to practice this whole diagram. You have to revise this whole diagram many multiple times in your brain so that it gets a reflex of if someone gives throws you an artery name, you can trace it straight from the heart. You know about the course of the artery throughout the heart, throughout the body. Yeah. So that's what was my aim in the last 40 minutes. If you have been listening me, okay. So that's all. Sorry, what happened? Yeah, no problem. So that's all in today's lecture. I hope you enjoyed the lecture, and if you enjoyed, stay tuned for more such lectures. And do follow me on Instagram. I give you an ID before words, I believe. Okay, that's all. Thank you, and have a great day from my side. Bye bye.